self-talk. Children who set impossibly high standards for themselves are prone to engage a lot in negative self-talk. How should I counter my negative self-talk? Hi everyone, this is me, Jyotika Bedi, founder of Happiness is Love. We make relationships better. Today I'm going to talk to you how to help kids who self-hate or use negative self-talk. We do it as adults as well, but nobody really teaches us how to help my child so that my child can boost his or her self-confidence and self-esteem. We often, parents, hear kids say negative things about themselves all the time. I have a 17-year-old teenager, and I know I'm not alone because we all struggle with our teenage son saying, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, nobody likes me. And of course, I am so fat, I am so ugly, no one likes me. Sometimes these things are just throwaway lines. However, they may have a harmful impact. But what experts call negative self-talk can also reflect an unhealthy tendency in children to think the worst of themselves. And this can lead to a sign of something very, very serious. As a parenting coach, I am very, very keen to share, to learn, and so that together we can learn and grow to be our better selves so that we can understand that we parents have the greatest influence on our children and what is it that we need to do in order to help our children build and boost their self-esteem and their self-confidence. So let me quickly share with you what is self-talk. Self-talk is essentially our inner dialogue. It can be a way of narrating what is happening around you, your language, practicing your language and guiding you through your various tasks. While self-talk is often constructive, it can also go the other way. We all engage in self-critical behavior from time to time. I do it, I'm sure you do it too, we all do it. And it isn't an immediate cause of concern. However, it's useful to think about why your child might be talking down on herself or himself and when it might really reflect a problem. So let's break it down a little bit so that we can understand what is this concept and how can I truly help my child so that my child is able to practice more positive self-talk and is aware, has an awareness of catching, checking and challenging her negative self-talk. So let's understand what is globalized thinking first. Kids often make statements about themselves that reflect all or nothing thinking. For example, let me help you understand. When a child doesn't do well, let's say in a soccer game, and explains, I stink at soccer, I'm the worst, I'm such a loser. This kind of globalized thinking persists. It affects how children think and feel about themselves in general. Then we have the perfectionism. I have 3 children. One of my twin daughters is definitely someone who has perfectionist tendencies because children who set impossibly high standards for themselves are prone to engage a lot in negative self-talk. These perfectionists can be so hard on themselves that they run themselves down trying to reach a goal which sometimes is unrealistic. I struggle and I'm sharing this with you. And as a parent, my goal really is to be aware, to be cognizant of how my child is speaking to herself. Too cool for school. Sometimes the self-deprecating, I am so going to fail that test, I'm just so worthless, can be a form of social protection. For older kids in particular, the social sphere becomes really important. In certain social circles, it may not be cool to be smart, and obsessing over appearances may be a way to fit in with the popular kids. Or maybe the child is trying to beat others to the punch by making negative statements first. So what are the other ways? There are attention seeking as well. Sometimes children may engage in negative self-talk, verbalized out loud in an attempt to manipulate others or in an effort to get attention. For example, a child may try to guilt parents by talking about what a horrible child he is and how he deserves to be punished. Sometimes there is also lack of resilience. This is something that I have noticed in my professional capacity of working with teenagers and young adults. In some cases, self-critical thought can be an indication of lack of grit or resilience, as some psychologists refer. If children regularly respond to disappointments with negative self talk that is out of proportion to a particular disappointment, this can lead to avoiding sudden experiences as well as lack of motivation to preserve themselves in the face of difficulty. This is very important to note. Bullying. If a child is being picked on, it can be easy for her to internalize the insults aimed at her. For instance, let me share with you a client, and let's call her Seema. Mom of a 17-year-old daughter says her daughter's negative self-talk emerged when she was 13. They made fun of her. And I remember Seema sharing this with me and being very, very upset. After a while, she would believe that the bad stuff her classmates were saying was true of her. She would always say that she's ugly. And her daughter complained that her lips and her nose were too big, her hair were too curly. It's hard watching our children battle with these demons, and Seema's not alone. We all have faced this. So it's very, very important as parents to understand that we have a lot of forces working against us, but it's really on us. The way we talk to a child, the way we build our child, the words that we use has a profound impact on how our children see themselves. And that's why I tell my all three children that they are the wisest, kindest, most magical beings, because I know whatever I will believe, they will become. So it is very important as parents to be aware of our own critical dialogue and help our children counter their negative self-talk. So question is, when to worry? In isolation, negative self-talk is natural and not a cause of concern, but it can also be an evidence of low self-confidence, low self-esteem, a learning difficulty, anxiety, or even some signals of depression. These are signs to look out. So as parents, I want to share with you the negative self-talk. If it is persistent and pervasive, you need to be vigilant. It is not based in reality. For example, your son gets invited to play dates, but still frets that no one likes him. It is impacting a child's relationship or schoolwork. Your daughter's eating and or sleeping patterns have changed. She's making persistent, vague remarks like, I don't feel well statements in the absence of physical symptoms. Seema noticed many of these signs in her daughter as a negative self-talk, which actually was leading to depression. She would not care about her appearance, then it went to the extreme where appearance was all that she cared about. She didn't do her homework, lost weight, and wanted to be in bed all day. These are warning signals that we parents need to be aware. So what parents can really do to help? Here are some ways to free children from negative thinking and stir them away from destructive self-talk to more constructive, positive self-talk. Listen and validate. It can be tempting to ignore it when a kid first expresses negative feelings, but we would recommend never just brushing off those kinds of comments, even if they're kind of silly or not based in any kind of reality. Instead, offer a safe place for your child to come with his or her concerns to find out what is going on. Offer a realistic approach. We advise against battling critical self-talk with overly optimistic, positive thinking, and I'm guilty of the same. So we would advise against this critical self-talk, which sometimes becomes overly optimistic or too, let's say, toxic positive thinking. And we recommend a more positive approach, realistic approach. So if a child says she's sure no one will talk to her on her first day at a new school, you don't want to say the first day of school is going to be great and you're going to make 1 million friends. Instead, you can offer the first day of school might be a bit scary, I understand. But as you settle in, you will be likely to make more friends, and I promise you, you will grow to love it. Put in a context. Adults can help by talking with children in a way that contextualizes their experience and offers a broader perspective. Help them identify specifically what upsets them. So, for instance, I would like to share that, let's say a child made a mistake and is using self-critical statements. Acknowledge that one bad experience doesn't equate being the worst at something. And as parents, this is very, very important. And I've been guilty of the same, where I've not been able to offer them the support that they need, especially in moments when they are feeling very self-critical. Model realistic and positive self-talk. Try to stop saying self-critical things about yourself too. Don't fixate on mistakes you made or worry out loud about your weight all the time. We want to model positive body positivity and positive self-esteem to our children, because the greatest gift we can give our children is to be what we want them to be. So make sure that you are the model who is showing to them how to combat negative self-talk and be that model for your children. Correct the record. Catching yourself in the midst of making a negative statement can create a valuable teaching, learning moment for you and your family. Say you burn something and you're yelling something you burnt and yell in frustration, "I'm a terrible cook." Continue the conversation in front of your children with something like, "Actually, I'm a pretty good cook most of the time. However, I'm human. I just messed up this dish, but I'm not going to let this stop me from cooking in the future." This is a beautiful way of demonstrating positivity to your children. Touch base with school. If your child is in school, check in with the teachers about what you're hearing. Getting their perspective can help you see a more complete picture. This kind of information will be useful later and will help you, especially in your evaluation. Last but not the least, seek professional help. If your child's behavior is persistent and negatively impacting your child's life, or it's linked to other troubles in the child's shifting in mood and behavior, it might be a time to obtain a diagnostic evaluation to help you determine what is causing the problem. It's time for a emotional or mental health checkup, as I call it. And it is time for you to reach out to a professional. And this is what we do at Happiness is Love. We work with parents, teachers, couples, individuals, teenagers, professionals, young adults, everyone, so that together we can learn, share, help and support each other and be our bestest, grandest versions. I hope this video was useful to you. Keep smiling, keep shining, keep inspiring.